This is your 20-minute podcast, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
But I realized after a while, there's just too many things out there. The supplements were coming on faster than I could collect the research.
Right.
Let me sit down and write a book. So I thought, what people really need to know, they just need to know the truth about what do you need to know about physiology? What do you need to know about dieting? What do you need to know about nutrition? And so that's what I put in the book.
Good.
First, as I introduce things, and I point out, okay, these diet programs and supplements are really bogus, and I give you a little bit on that, but okay, that's to the side. Now, what do you really need to know? And so I go through the physiology, the nutrition, things that you need to know, and it's written for a layman.
Good.
There's no medical terms in there. It's written for anybody who would be interested in learning this information. And it's just basic stuff. It's real easy to understand. There's nothing scientific or anything about this. You don't have to know chemistry or physiology or anything to do this. It's very simple. But there's just a few facts you need to know so that you're not deceived by all the fallacies and lies that these people are throwing at you.
Yeah.
And then it'll help you understand a little bit better, what your body's trying to do. And this is basic stuff. Like I say, anybody can understand it.
Good.
So I get you to that. Okay, now you know this. You got all this great knowledge. Now what are you going to do with it? Well, first thing you need to understand is, why do people fail at their dieting programs? First off, when you go see a physician or something, they have no idea how to counsel you on dieting. And with the obesity crisis the way it is, and keep escalating, they have all these surgical approaches and all these medications, hunger suppressants and stuff. And now they're trying to say, well, you know what? It's genetics. If you're fat, it's because you have bad genes, and we're sorry, and we're trying to figure out a way to help you. Well, no, they're just putting a Band-Aid on it because they haven't figured out what the real reason is. Real reason is eating is a habit. It's like smoking or drinking or whatever your habit is. Eating is a habit. And so you have to learn to deal with that habit. You have to eat. You don't have to smoke. You don't have to snack or eat candy or drink beer or anything like that. You don't have to do those things, but you have to eat.
Yep.
And so how do you go about eating the way you are now that you understand that, that you're working with that, dealing with a habit? So how do you go about breaking this habit and developing new eating habits? And, what can you eat? Well, first off, you can eat anything that's healthy. Well, what's healthy? Well, and that's the other thing. People say, well, eat healthy food. And you say, okay, great. Well, what's healthy food? So I tell you that. But basically, there's 5 food groups. You have your vegetable group, your cereals and grains group, fruits, your meat, protein group, and dairy. And then the thing that destroys nutrition in food is the processing. So if you're eating cold cereal, they used to say that if you ate the box cold cereal, you'd get more nutrition than eating the cereal itself. And that's almost true. Okay, because it's so highly processed that any nutrition that it contained, they've taken out. They add some stuff back, to kind of compensate for that, but it doesn't really. So if you're going to eat cereal grains, stuff like that, eat whole grains, rolled oats. What's been processed about that? Well, they run it under a roller. Now cook it up and eat it. Vegetables. How many vegetables are there? There's dozens of vegetables of different types, and you can eat all of those fresh. Fruits. There's all kinds of fruit. You can eat all of that fresh. You don't have to have any processing whatsoever. And meats, things like that. There's all kinds of stuff that you can eat that is unprocessed or minimally processed. The reason they have these 5 food groups is years ago, nutritionists kind of grouped them together by their nutritional commonality. So the vegetables all have a similar nutritional basis, as do the fruits and so on.
Sure.
Some things that we call fruits or vegetables, like tomatoes. Tomatoes is technically a fruit.
Right.
Nutritionally and culinarily, it is treated as a vegetable. So it really should belong in the vegetable group nutritionally. And same with the vegetables, same with the fruits. They all have a nutritional commonality. So if you just eat the least processed foods from these 5 food groups in proper amounts, you say, well, what's proper amounts? Well, years ago, the nutritionists came up with these food pyramids.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I remember the food pyramid from when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, the food pyramid's a great idea because what's on the bottom of the pyramid is the food group that you should eat from the most. So the original pyramids had cereal grains on the bottom because most of our calories and things came from wheat products, cereal grains. But now people don't need as many calories and things as they used to. We're just not working as hard as we were. And then those calories, so the newer pyramids reverse that, and they put vegetables on the bottom, and then cereal grains, and then fruits, and on up, then meats, and dairies on the top. But what that's saying is most of your diet should be comprised of vegetables. And that's not saying, oh, we should be very vegetarians. That's not it at all. It just means that most of our nutrition comes from vegetables, so that's where we should be concentrating the bulk of our intake, and then fruits and so forth. Well, then they come up with this, well, that's not good enough. It's hard for people to understand. And I don't know what's hard to understand about that, but they come out with my plate. And so they have this picture of a plate, and they draw some little areas on there and say, well, this area is vegetables, and this area is fruits. And,
oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
And that's, well, that's somebody's idea. I mean, I guess if you're doing something long enough, you figure that you need to change something to show that you're doing something, but I don't see where my plate's any better than the old pyramids.
Yeah, it's just a flat version of the pyramid.
Exactly. And I don't even think it's as good because, showing those areas on the plate, it doesn't really relate as much as this pyramid. Really show you really have to cut down as you go up the chain. But that's what people need to concentrate on. I talk about all this in my book. I talk about the food pyramids and the different food groups. And I don't talk specifically about the nutrition. Oh, you're going to get this B vitamin and vitamin A and this stuff from this group. It doesn't matter. And, when they come out with these things, say, oh, you've got to take this vitamin or something. If you just eat these 5 food groups, you're going to get everything that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of this is you're not eating from all 5 of these groups. So maybe you should be taking some supplements like a multivitamin or something. And if you had to say, is there one supplement out there that isn't useless? And you might say that's multivitamins if you're eating very poorly. But the problem with multivitamins, and after I've had a few discussions about this with some people, it kind of, oh, wow, because they were relying on multivitamins to fill in gaps.
Right.
First off, how do you know what you're short? Or which vitamins are you short, if you're short any? And if you are, well, first off, you can't really know that information. But when you look at the multivitamins, they all put different combinations of vitamins and minerals, amounts in there. Which one do you take? Which one's going to fill a gap?
Yeah.
Well, I know what gaps I'm filling, and so I'm going to pick this one. Well, does that do the job or not? You don't know. So the best thing is not relying on multivitamins or anything like that to fill in the gaps. Just learn to eat well. And like I said, it's not that hard. It's not that expensive. People say, whoa, I can't afford fresh fruits and vegetables. Well, look at the price you're paying for potato chips and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And take that money, go apply it to fresh fruits and vegetables, things like that. You can't afford not to. It's cheaper. Overall, I think, because when you buy junk food like potato chips, I could sit down and eat a whole bag of potato chips and still be hungry.
Right.
What did I do for myself? And I talked a little bit about this. I spell it out a little more detail in the book. But, you've eaten a huge ton of calories, a deficit of nutrition, and I'm still hungry.
Yeah, you're not satisfied at all.
No. And so that's true with a lot of the snack foods and stuff, which is people relying on. I mean, it's easy to reach in the cupboard and grab a bag of chips and munch on them.
Right.
Or whatever, cookies or cake or ice cream or whatever your choice is. But you're really depriving yourself nutritionally and excess of calories, and those things are expensive.
Yeah.
But this is not something you're going to do right away. If you're eating very poorly, you're not going to eat this wonderful, nutritionally balanced diet tomorrow. It takes weeks, months. It might even take you 2 or 3 years of trying this out and changing things, to really get yourself to the point where you want to be. But so what? If it takes you 2 or 3 years to be eating really nutritionally healthy, you're going to do that the rest of your life. This is a quest that is lifelong. It's not something you're going to do for 6 months or a year. This is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And all these favorite foods that you crave, you're not going to drop those overnight. And some of those favorite foods you may not have to get rid of at all. Maybe you just cut way back on the portion and then substitute enough nutritional foods in there to keep your nutrition where it should be, that you can afford to eat a few of those foods. Or maybe the way you prepare certain dishes. There's a million ways to prepare food and diet plans and stuff that incorporate the food groups and proper amounts with minimal processing that are healthy. So there's no way to come up with a diet. So I don't give you a diet plan and say, well, this is what you need to eat. No, there's a million ways to do that. And I can't even begin to describe a few of them. But what I do tell you is once you know that what the food groups are and how you need to eat from those food groups, and then I talk about this, the habit of eating. How you can deal with that habit. And then I throw in some ideas of how you can go about incorporating changes into your diet and learning to eat healthy. And you take it from there. You work it as fast or slow as you want. You learn to eat the foods that you like that are healthy. and you'll get there. But don't be in a big hurry. You spent years and years getting fat and out of shape. You're not going to reverse that in a month or two.
Yeah, it's got to be, and I imagine I don't imagine, I know from personal experience, it's really hard when you're in this immediate gratification, microwave kind of society, because everything else around you is going 110 miles an hour. And to be able to grasp and commit to a true and pure lifestyle change in one area of your life is really a challenge for some folks.
Yeah, I know very few people who can just make radical changes to anything,
exactly,
and maintain it, regardless of what it is. But the gradual changes will work. They'll work for anybody. And it's kind of the same thing. And maybe I learned this gradual change things a little more, when I started exercising, because it's the same thing with exercise. You see these people go to the gym and they make these New Year's resolutions, and every year it happens the same at the gym.
Right.
After New Year's, there's this big influx of people, and it takes about 2-3 weeks, and they're gone. The gym's back to its normal habitation. Well, what happened to those people? And this is another thing I talk about in the book, but I kind of did the same thing. I just went to it by dumb luck, but when I started exercising way back when, I did it very slowly, and I did it because just of my circumstances. And I just kind of eased into it, and it wasn't so stressful that it chased me away, but it was satisfying enough that I thought there is some benefit to this, and so I kept going and going. Well, if you do that, just these slow changes, you go from nothing being a couch potato to within a few months of being an intense exerciser.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with your diet. You can't go from eating this horribly poor diet, just all of a sudden change and eat this wonderfully nutritious diet. You just work your way into it slowly so that you hardly even notice the changes. You know you're doing something because you're changing your diet and the way you eat and stuff, but you don't even hardly notice it because you haven't made any radical changes. You're just consciously making these little slow adjustments and changes, eliminating things, adding things, and you develop new habits as you do that. And now these new habits are going to be hard to break as your old habits were.
A friend of mine is a nutritionist, and she uses the word mindful a lot. Being mindful of what you're doing with exercise, being mindful of what you're doing with nutritious foods. And rather than beating yourself up and going, okay, I got to do this by the 14th of August, you just be mindful of everything every day and kind of let it evolve organically, I think.
Yeah, and I think she's right in that we make conscious choices every day. It's not that you get up in the morning and you blindly go out in the kitchen and eat whatever. You think about it. You say, what do I feel like this morning? Well, I'm going to have a bagel, or I'm going to have a sweet roll, or whatever it is that you're going to have. You think about it. So what you learn to do is you learn to think about, I'm going to have this. Oh, no, I'm not. I think I'm going to substitute this for that today.
Yeah.
And you develop new habits of things. So the first thing you think of is nutritious thing rather than the junk food. And so she's right. We think about this stuff all the time, but we think, oh man, do I have to think about that? But you're already thinking about it. You just yourself to think about good stuff. So yeah, being consciously aware of what you're doing is important. But the flip side of that is you can be consciously aware that, I need to make some changes to my diet. But the flip side of that, you need to know what you have to change in your diet.
I was interviewing a motivational speaker, a world-class ski instructor, about several things just this morning, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And he said what he has used is the what if concept, meaning ask yourself, what if I don't do this? What's going to happen? What if I do this? What's going to happen? And just those two little options have really helped him kind of steer a course that he didn't know he could go on.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those things help certain people, and other people it doesn't have much of an effect on.
Right.
Because you can think about it, what I want to do and how's it going to affect me, but will you do it?
Right.
And so I don't even push it that far. You say, if you just make a goal, say, within the next 3 years, I want to lose 50 pounds and I want to be eating healthy. And then you just slowly start making adjustments to it.
Yeah.
You have to think about it every day, and you're not in a big hurry, but you probably find out that you're going to switch a lot faster than you think. But if you don't put any time pressure on yourself, that's not a stress all in of itself.
Right.
And you don't have to put any time limit on it. And losing weight, people want to lose. I was just looking at an ad this morning about this woman said she came up with this diet, discovered the secret that she lost like 50 pounds in a month or something.
Yeah.
And, it's just ridiculous. You might lose 50 pounds like that, but you might die in the process.
Yeah. Or gain 60 the next month.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. These things are out there. but just slow and steady and knowing what your goal is. But I think the biggest thing people are missing is they just need to understand the basic physiology, the basic nutritional facts that they need to know. And it's not that much, but once you see what the basics are, you can say, wow, I can understand that. It's very simple. And then when people throw this stuff out there at you, you're not tempted to pursue it.
Yeah.
I mean, their ads are so great. Even now, I read these people's ads and I say, wow, I wish that were true. That's great advertisement. But then, you come back to reality and say, well, no, it's a fallacy.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated by this, and which is why I let it go on twice as long as I normally do, because I'm going to turn this podcast into a 2-part podcast, because it's so interesting and so fascinating and so informative, the journey that you have been on, and obviously helping others to go on with your book. And tell folks how they can get a hold of that.
Okay. The book is available on Amazon. It's either paperback or it's on Kindle, either format. I have a website that's www.healthfiascorevealed.com, and it's just healthfiascorevealed.com. And there's contact information on there. My email's on there. You can email me or give me a message. I'll send you a book or whatever.
And you've got a blog on there. You've got blog posts, podcasts, all kinds of information to help people get informed along with your book.
Yeah, and I'm adding add more to the blogs, and working on getting a vlog going. I think vlogs are easier for people to get into. It's hard, I think, for people that are so busy to sit down and take 10 minutes and read a blog or, educate themselves that way. But, and, a short video, I think, would be very helpful. So I'm working on putting together a bunch of vlog information and stuff too. So
good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, thank you so much. We've been visiting with Dr. Louis Meline from Spokane. His book is Lies Exposed: The Truth About Diet, Supplements, Weight Loss, and Exercise. And just really enjoyed this last 40 minutes, Doc. Thanks so much for all the research and all the work you've done, and I'm sure you've helped tons of people through your practice as well.
Well, I hope so. And that's my goal, is just give people the truth so they can go out there and do something real for themselves.
And that's the payoff. So thank you. Again, Dr. Louis Meline, you bet. You've been listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/your 20-minute podcast. And again, be sure to go to healthfiascorevealed.com and pick up that book from Dr. Meline. Have a great day, everybody.
Until next time, don't forget to download your free audiobook at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. That's audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast for your free audiobook. And thanks for listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower.